Welcome to Sound Plus Doctrine, the podcast of Sovereign Grace Music, where we explore what the Bible has to say about music and worship in the church, and encourage those who plan, lead, and participate in their Sunday gatherings each week. Hello and welcome to the Sound Plus Doctrine podcast. My name is David Zimmer.
My name is Bob Coughlin.
And we have a very special guest.
We sure do.
On the podcast today, Julie Coughlin.
That is my wife. Yes, it's so good to have you here.
Okay, guys.
Sorry.
It is so great to have Julie on. And I just want to mention something, that if you're watching on YouTube and you've tracked this podcast, you will see that practically everything has changed.
This is like, it's almost like we should wait for another season to make these upgrades.
Yeah, for sure.
But we didn't.
No.
Because we're so excited about them.
Yes.
But
we have some new microphones.
That would be the first.
Using.
The microphone covers.
Yep.
Because so if we sound a little clearer,
yeah,
it's because the new covers.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
We switched the table around. We have our logo in the background.
Don't rush through it, David. Take time to let people enjoy the upgrades.
Yeah.
So the table, that it's redesigned. We care about how things are done and what they look like.
Yeah,
it's crucial.
Okay, now.
And then the logo's in the background. We've got a thing of sticks in the corner. But what I love about this is, if anybody knows Julie, who's on the podcast today, they would know how incredible she is with creativity and design. And so I think we've made all these changes
I felt kind of
for our special
because
guest.
she was coming on to make it a little, just up it a little bit.
That's so good.
It's good.
So
I wouldn't have entered the door if they had not made those changes.
Perfect. So, Bob, talk about our special guest.
Our special guest is my wife of 45 years. And we wanted you to have you on this podcast, and you had to be convinced to be on this podcast.
Definitely.
Because you did not want to be on this podcast, but
No.
I know that God has worked through your life in so many ways through the years. It's actually one of the things that spurred it was during a Worship Matters Intensive, which is a 5-day thing I do with guys. And Julie, they're at my house, and Julie came into the room, and one of them asked, "Hey, how did you handle so-and-so?" And Julie, just talked for about 5 minutes, and they were like, wow. And I just felt like all that I had done for the previous 3 days was kind of okay.
Cute.
But what Julie shared in those 5 minutes. So so people get why you're here, not just because you're my wife, and I'd love to be with you anywhere. You have been the wife of a traveling musician, the wife of a pastor, the wife of a worship pastor, a vocalist, a set designer, and a sound engineer. You've served in all those roles over 45 years. So we just want to talk about that, and especially for women who serve in music ministry and wives of those who do.
Right.
We just thought it would be great to hear how the Lord's been working through your life over these years. So
We'll see.
This is going to be 2 podcasts. First one, This one's going to focus on your role as a wife and mom. And then the second one, we're going to focus on you as the creative, all the music stuff and sound tech and so.
Yep. Well, so I think a great place to start would be how you got saved.
Well, I would say I am the poster child of God calling someone because I grew up in a non-Christian family. I didn't have some aunt over in England praying for my salvation.
Because you were born in England.
Yes, as far as I know, no one in my family was a Christian. So the fact that God snatched me out of that has given me such confidence in His calling and Him leading me in my walk with Him, which is amazing. So I had never been to church. It all kind of became apparent when a friend invited me to an Easter thing, and it was a concert that actually Bob was in some concert choir thing, and I kind of mildly had a crush on him. So I was like,
You
let's
were
go.
madly in love with me.
Madly in love. So I went, and I'm sitting there looking at the program, waiting for it to start, and the church was called Calvary Baptist Church. This is really an embarrassing story. But
You weren't a Christian.
so I'm like looking at it, and I lean over to my friend. I say, Patty, isn't that a terrible name for a church? Thinking of like the cavalry, like da 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 war, you know, and she just kind of like looked at me very strangely, and I was like, well, that was not the right thing to say. And so the next day at school, she was talking to me, and she was like, I mean, do you know what Easter is? And I was like, of course. Chocolate rabbits, eggs. Yes, I know what Easter is. And she went on to say, you know what, you should come with me. Our church is doing this like Easter vigil thing, and we all stay up to prepare for a sunrise service and stuff. So I went to that, and I felt like the scales fell off of my eyes. I was like, oh my goodness, like there's a God? Like my self-centered living is sin. I have a savior. This is unbelievable. And it was just like, from then on out, I was just like, okay, I'm in. This is amazing. And I'm sure my mom was just like, oh, another phase. You know, she did the hippie thing. You know, here we go again. You know, so that was kind of it. And then I just like was hungry for the Lord, wanted to read my Bible. Just I wanted everything I could find about the Lord at that point. So
That's so awesome.
Knew you were a sinner.
yeah,
Yeah, it's convergence is so amazing.
Yeah.
it
That
is.
you don't realize you're a sinner. You need a savior.
Well, and then it was only the Lord. Like it wasn't like I was, you know, pursuing this intellectual. I wonder if I believe in this.
Yeah,
You know, it was just like bang, from out of nowhere.
Wow.
You know, so
And then from that, how did you meet Bob?
well, that's a long and sordid story that I
Do a
don't
whole
know we
podcast
have
on
the
that.
time.
No, we don't. I mean, you met me in high school.
Yes, met you in high school. So I grew up riding and showing horses, and I hated school, and I just wanted to get out. So I did my junior and senior year together so I could graduate early, so I could ride horses more
Which put her in my
and
class.
show. So he was a
Okay.
year ahead of me. And in my 10th grade year was probably my most sinful year. Well, of course, at that point, I didn't know it was sinful, you know, but I got into the dating scene, did some drugs,
What?
got fed
You told me that.
drinking, got fed up with the whole dating scene because of all the sexual stuff, and felt like guys could care less about you. They just wanted your body, and it was just miserable. So I was like, oh, so this is what it is? This is horrible. And so then was in the next year, saw him in some classes, and he just took an interest in being kind and being a friend. And I was just drawn to him. I was like, oh my goodness, I've never met somebody like that. Like he seems like he just wants to know you. Part of it was kind of a pity card, you know, Bob being the merciful God he is.
Wait a minute. No, a lot of it was. I wanted people to think I was just wonderful and kind and just,
Yeah, and I was kind of, you know, I had kind of withdrawn from popularity and all that as a result of my 10th grade year. So that's what made me love him and want to get to know him, and
Wow.
never met. I mean, I had never, like growing up, like marriage was not a thing. My parents got divorced, you know, later, but they didn't have a good marriage. Children, you know, I mean, riding horse, it was kind of like, yeah, you should marry somebody that's small so that you have small kids that can ride, you know, it was like a breeding exercise.
Wow.
So all of that changed when
Yeah.
I became a Christian.
I've never known that last part.
The
That you should
breeding
marry.
part?
No, that
Oh,
you should marry
yeah.
someone small.
Totally.
Well, thanks. I'm
Horseback
6'4". So.
I know, yeah. Well, there go the horses.
Well, so I mean, so people are hearing this, and I'm so glad you shared all that stuff, because now that was 72, so we got married in 76, August of 76, and we have had 6 children. We have 21 grandchildren. And this all came out of, and this is what the Lord has done. It came out of this background that nothing pointed to
Yeah.
that. So you homeschooled our kids for many years, and then as they got older, we sent some to Christian school.
Yeah.
But so all the things I mentioned at the beginning, you've done while you were raising 6 kids.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, what amazes me is just how God in His sovereignty prepares us, unbeknownst to us, for our futures. So, I went to college. So I did the horse thing. I'm not sure how that fits in, but did the horse thing, got converted, had no picture of marriage and family, went to school for, I wanted to be an architect, but didn't have the brain power for all that. So I did theater. I was like, oh, set design, that's kind of like architecture. So I took that, and shortly into that, a guy who did sound for the theater grabbed me and, not physically,
Good.
and did an independent study with me for sound stuff.
So
And then I
wild.
did some lighting, and and then we got married, graduated. I'm like, and then started having babies. It was kind of like, what was that all about?
Yeah.
But then 20 years at least later, all of a sudden the Lord ignites all that.
so cool.
It's just amazing to me.
Well, so when you got married and you started having kids, you were touring.
Yes.
Right after we got married, I was already in the group GLAD, which was
Yeah.
a contemporary Christian band from the late 70s to sometime in the 2000s. We were in it for 8 years, but Julie ran sound for that. So I think within the first week after our wedding, we were on the road,
Wow.
and she was running sound. So
And
she
how
ran
long
sound.
were you on the road together?
years.
8 years.
8 years. And how many
Yeah.
kids did you have with you?
When we left, we had 2.
Just 2, yeah.
On the road.
Yeah, so I think, how old was, 3 years in or something? We had
Yeah,
Megan?
so I left in 84. So Megan was 3.5.
Wow.
Jordan was 1.5.
Yeah.
Wow.
So,
What a
yeah,
crazy
It was pretty crazy.
What a crazy idea and adventure. So fast forwarding, one question I wanted to ask you, Julie, is, what was it like to be a mom of kids, multiple kids, and older kids, younger kids, while your husband was, pursuing what God has called him to do?
Before you go there, I just realized you had asked me to do something, and I haven't done it. So, Julie wanted to make it clear, if you're watching this on YouTube, that your hairstyle is not a new. You're not trying to set.
I'm trying to set some
a
fashion
new trend.
here, guys.
Julie had breast cancer 3 years ago, and it reoccurred this year
Yeah.
in July. So she is now in chemo. And God's been very kind in that the side effects haven't been as serious as for a lot of people, although last week or so you had a hard week, but not, yeah. So anyway,
God's being very kind.
another
So that's with this.
another testimony to my wife. I said you could not wear that, be fine, but she said, no, I'll put something on. That in the midst of all this, she's doing a podcast. and continuing to serve in various ways. So all that just is the grace of God on her life, and one of the many, 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 many reasons I'm so happy to be married to her. So back to your question, David. I'm sorry.
Yes. No, we're so glad that you're on the podcast.
Yes.
So what was it like? Bob was, even after touring, just sort of church life, and he was a pastor. And what was that like, raising small kids?
Well, I think to go back, it's like the 8 years on the road. We stayed in people's homes a lot. Encountered Christian families, and I think that raised my vision somewhat. Being on the road definitely made me flexible and able to just kind of persevere through things. I mean, it wasn't
Serious.
the
You
easiest
better be
thing.
flexible on the road.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, so we were together, 24/7 for those 8 years, I feel like. And then we got off of the road because Bob just felt like we need to be part of just a church and serve there and not just be going to a bazillion churches all the time. So then those first years, we were in Fairfax, Virginia, at a church. And I think that's where my vision for family, really erupted. But we were still together a lot during those times, and those were kind of all the younger years with my kids. But I felt like I had examples ahead of me that would give me faith for, okay, I can do this, But then there is definitely like a transition of just feeling like I want to be involved in everything that Bob does, to I need to turn my sights to what God has called me to do, which is raise a family, and I want to do this really well. So I think that changed everything for me. When before he would go on trips and stuff, it would always be like, I wish I could go on a trip, or I wish I could be in the band, or I wish I could do, always wanting to be a part of what he's doing, and just realizing, no, like, if I truly believe God is sovereign, like he could put me anywhere, and he has chosen this life and this amount of kids and where we live and what Bob does as the best possible thing for me. And so I want to like pour myself into that and do it well and stuff. Wow. So yeah, that really raised my vision.
So I hear this a lot from ladies who are married to people in music ministry.
The worship widow.
Yes, if you might call it that. I've never heard that phrase, but you've done this. You did this for probably, the age span of our kids is 15 years. So from the time, Megan was born to Mackenzie was, 15. She would have been 15 in like 2010. So for about 30 years, 25, 30 years, you, most Sundays, would this not be true? Most Sundays, you brought the family to the meeting without me.
Right.
All right. Some women would hear that and go, they just go, I'm not doing it. And they'd be saying to their husbands, hey, you get here. So how did you do that? What kinds of things went through your mind, and why didn't you get bitter? Because I never thought you were bitter.
Wow, I could have been bitter?
You could have been bitter, yeah. You missed your chance.
I think, part of it's trusting in the sovereignty of God. Like, this is what I'm supposed to do. So that really plays into everything. I think I am a bit of a problem solver, so I would kind of see it as a challenge and like, okay, how am I going to do this? And I had all these like rules for the kids, and prepare stuff Saturday night, and but it was just envisioning the kids for this is a delightful thing. This isn't, oh, I wish Dad was here. This is so hard, but no.
You're saying you presented it to them in this way, that this is delightful.
Yeah, tried to build their faith for involvement in the church and serving, and this is a way we can serve Dad, and isn't it great, like what he gets to do, and...
Which you couldn't do when they were young, infants, toddlers. It was just you.
Yeah.
You just had to...
drag them along.
Tell yourself that. I mean,
yes,
and when you say trust in the sovereignty of God, what do you mean?
Well, just that this is what he has for me. This is he could take me anywhere. This is what he has ordained for my life, and I want to do it well, to honor him and bring glory to him and support Bob and what he does. And it wasn't a hardship. I mean, there was one time.
One time out of 30 years.
This is the one that really stands out to me. We used to have these celebration conferences, which was all the Sovereign Grace churches got together. People who are listening, who are moms of Sovereign Grace pastors, remember this very well. I mean, it was not a delightful time for the moms because you stayed in dorms,
right,
and no air conditioning, and they're all sleeping in a different situation, and it was hard. You missed a lot, but it was a blast also. But there was one evening session when I used to always try to train my kids to, the one that was the right age, to sleep in their stroller, fall asleep for their naps and stuff. So I'm backstage and just trying to get, pat in the back, trying to get this child to sleep. I'm like sweating bullets because it's like in a gym, it's hot. And, Bob came back and he's like talking to all his, his fans.
Ministering, Julie, ministering. pastoring, shepherding the flock.
And I'm just sitting there, getting angrier and angrier. Like, can't he see that this is a lot and this is so hard and, going down that hill quickly. And all of a sudden, I felt like the Lord just was like, okay, you have a choice here. You can just continue this and feel sorry for yourself, or you can appropriate my grace that's like waiting to help you in this moment and stuff. And I was like, well, that's an easy pick there. And yeah, so it just changed everything. But
How about staying late?
on Sundays?
Yeah, yeah, because
Yes.
always the last.
And that
to leave.
was my childhood as well. My dad staying till the very end,
Right.
and us trying to get home, and my mom trying to wrangle all of us to get out. Yeah.
Yeah, this probably isn't my glowing moment. It was a bit manipulative on my part because my goal was if we stayed late enough, then we'd probably go out to eat.
So you can twist it. That's really
yes,
great.
yes. It's not the best motivation, but it worked. Yeah, I'm amazed. I mean, there was just grace. Like, I mean, I'm not the forward thinker to bring snacks and all that. So my poor kids, like, they would just hang out and wait. And, I mean, if you know my husband, he has the ability to talk for a very long time. I'm the
3
kind
seasons
of
worth.
I'm kind of the person that I'm always looking for the out in a conversation, and so I hear him talking, and I'm thinking, this is the moment he could end this right here, and then he asks another deep question, and I'm just like, oh my goodness.
Julie will always, has often said to me, "Don't you ever get tired of talking?"
Exactly.
And I say, "No, I don't." As a matter of fact.
Yeah. So, so it's just, the same thing of just building into your kids that, like, this is great. You get to help wrap chords and let me teach you how to do it. And
I think that's been something that I've observed, one of the many things I've observed through your life, Jules. But one thing is just how your kids love church. They're drawn to church. They want to serve. They want to be involved. And I know not every parent gets to have the privilege of their kids serving alongside them.
Right.
So it's really a blessing and a mercy of the Lord. But I love that you just shared that it was exciting. You made it exciting to them, not burdensome.
Right.
You didn't do it
That was
perfectly,
huge.
but you did it, in
if
a
we're
way.
really good, we might be able to go out and eat. And then, you got to time it right,
Yeah.
It's been like an hour. Send the sweet child up to ask, Daddy, can we go get some food at Bojangles?
Absolutely, yes. But yeah, I love that, and now your kids are singing on albums and writing songs, and it's just been really
It's
cool.
amazing.
God's been
God's
very
been
kind.
so kind.
Yeah, it's been really cool to see. What have been some things that, to sort of flip it on its head, that Bob has done to either make your life easier or harder?
Well, I want to answer this question. First, nothing hard. It's all been pretty much making your life easier. I'd be interested in your answer to that
Yeah,
question.
I don't know I knew this was going to be a question, and I'm not sure.
Did I do anything to make your life easier?
Well,
This is
part
a
of the
humbling
problem.
moment.
No. Part of the problem is my own self-sufficiency. That I wouldn't come to him when I was, at my end.
No, you did sometimes.
Yeah, but usually I would go, start crying, come to him, and then he'd try to come up with these great solutions.
That was
which
one
didn't
of
really
always.
work.
That was always one of the signs that like
something
alerted
needed
to
to-
me that something was wrong when Julie would start crying. That's when I knew. Okay, we got to deal with this.
Right.
I've tried in later years to like anticipate something's wrong before you actually break
That's
down. I think I've gotten better there.
Yeah, he has done a great job of involving the kids, of helping them, be a part of things. Like we planted a church in Charlotte, North Carolina, and that was like the highlight, I think, of our family's years. All hands on deck, setting up, you're meeting in other places, and
Yeah.
So that was really fun. He was really good at coming up with solutions to problems, I think. Like, I mean, this is a dumb thing, but we had all these Fisher-Price little people, and they were in this big tub. And I was at my wit's end because they would just argue about who had which little people all the time. And one day he comes downstairs and he's like, you know what? We're going to learn how to pick little people. You know, and they would pass it around. And I was like, why did I never think of this? Like, you need to teach them to pick things, you know, rather than just, I want that one, I want that one. You know, so, but things like that.
I'm not sure how that relates to
No,
Sunday
I don't
mornings,
know,
but
no.
I'm sure
So
I was thinking of similar
Sundays,
things for Sundays.
Yeah, I think just a love for music. We always, I mean, back then, nobody had individual music stuff.
Right,
So
right.
we all listened to music together and we sang together. And we would go through worship. Part of homeschooling, I would go through worship songs and teach him what words meant. And,
That's so cool.
and he would play. And, you know, Devin would bring his little guitar on Sundays, and Jordan would be drumming on stuff. You know, he'd have sticks on Sundays, and, you know, just involving them in it all,
Yeah.
I think built them into just a love for the church. And this is like a privilege. This isn't just, we have to go to church on Sunday. You know,
Yeah.
it's like, no, this is our life.
Yeah.
You know, and church is just kind of
Outside of his job, outside of his
Yes.
role. This is our life. This
Yes.
is what we do. It's
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
great.
Yeah, we really try to make the church a high priority. We didn't try. We made the church a high priority for our family. So rather than seeing it as a job, this
Right.
is something we really wanted to do.
Yeah.
It's something we delighted in doing. I mean, there were hard Sundays for sure,
Yeah.
hard seasons and all that. But one thing I wanted to say about that was I don't think I did a ton to make that easy for you. Like, I had to be in, 2 hours before the meeting started. And of course, when Julie's running sound, she would too. But the times you didn't need to be there, you were packing up all the kids and taking care of all that. And I think it was your faith towards God that made that easy, that made that enjoyable, that made that something that wasn't.
I wanted to do it with the same excellence that you would lead on a Sunday.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
I
Wow, that's
wanted to
awesome.
be able to do that. Yeah,
You didn't get bitter.
I didn't get bitter. And I mean, I would say out to the ladies out there, it's so important to include your husband in your struggles. Like, help them know that you're bordering on bitterness, you
Yeah,
know, that
yeah.
Sundays are not pleasant, and, you know, you're sinning before you even get to the meeting. And, you know, you've got to
Yes.
let him in on that rather than being fearful that, you know, you're failing somehow if those are the struggles, because he can be a real helper to you and sort out things. And you know what, maybe you need to get everybody's shoes together the night before, you know, if that's the running
Yeah.
thing, or,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
That is so
good.
good. That's so helpful. Just even for my wife, Julie, and I, as we think through, you know, me leaving for trips or going
Yeah,
away.
yeah,
And you guys have just been such an example to us, and so many of the men that have come into the Worship Matters Intensive and got to spend time in your house and see, observe both of you. But just a faith that God has Bob doing what he's doing, and your faith to come alongside
Right,
him and complement, and it's just so encouraging.
Well,
see.
it's one of those unexpected blessings of being married to Julie. Like, I never knew. So when we got married, I thought she was getting the better deal. I mean, just to be honest, I just thought, what a blessing for Julie to be married to me. And over the years, that's totally reversed. And I occasionally put on an anniversary, I'll put a Facebook post on, just like more and more amazed every year that God worked through my pride and sin to make me marry her, because I can't believe she did. You know, look at now, I just think she's so far above me, spiritually mature, and yet it's been just God's kindness, God's grace, and she's served faithfully just for so many years, and I've never felt like she's supporting my ministry. I always feel her support, But I feel like she does what she does with joy and with faith and with gladness and with grace.
Most days.
Most things. That's not perfect, but close. So that's just been, and that is what supports me, knowing that she just doesn't feel like, well, I'm just supporting him. No, this is what
or
I'm called
I'm invisible.
to do. Yeah,
that's what I've been called to do. Yeah,
I mean, she'd rather be invisible, but
Right.
so next time we want to talk about all those ways where she's more visible. The Julie the creative. So, your role is like running sound, and your role as a vocalist. For a few years, you were a vocalist, and your years as a set designer, and you've been doing all these things and continue to do them as a grandmother of 21 children with cancer. It's like, whoa, okay. So I think it would be helpful to talk about, just for women who serve in ministry, music ministry, and the artistic side, just to hear your thoughts on that.
That's great.
So you have thoughts for us?
Maybe.
Okay, bet you will. Well, thank you so much for joining us, and
Yes,
would love
thank
to
you.
have you back for part 2.
Yep.
Thank you for listening to Sound Plus Doctrine, the podcast of Sovereign Grace Music. Sovereign Grace Music exists to produce Christ-exalting songs and training for local churches from local churches. For more information, free sheet music, translations, and training resources, you can visit us at sovereigngracemusic.org.